Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Yeah, folks, we are driving it home. But again, Patti is not in the chair today. She's still in New Orleans enjoying Mardi Gras. If you haven't been following her on social media, you can see pictures of her getting to enjoy the cuisine, the cocktails, the glittered hats. And the glittered hats, yes. She has a hat, this wonderful hat that she's been showing off. But yes, it's the K and E duo, Ken Mejia-Beal and myself, Elliott Serrano. We are sitting in the co-host chair today.
Yes.
Minding the store while Patti is in New Orleans. And hopefully the tornado didn't, take anyone away.
Well, from what I've heard, everything is fine.
Should be.
Everybody's fine. It's just very windy. I did text with Patti today, and I said, I am never traveling with you. Ever.
Well,
I hope you're having fun.
Yeah, I've tried. Okay, that's hilarious. No, because I have traveled with Patti. We've gone on road trips together, but I've never flown with her
tornado,
anywhere.
Hurricane,
no,
locust,
but I'm trying to. Golly, what happened? The last road trip I took with her was to go door knocking in Wisconsin before the election, and it wasn't a tornado, but
how did that influence?
Yeah, I know. It made more of an effect on a lot of individual races, house races and stuff.
No, I get it.
But the big picture, unfortunately, didn't go the way we'd hoped. And yes, and I will say, the people in Wisconsin are wonderful as long as you don't bring up an election.
Well, here's the thing. I lived in. I say this like we've been friends for 25 years. I lived in Fitchburg, which is the suburbs of Madison, for a year back in 2016. And what I found is Wisconsinites are wonderful human beings. Stay away from politics and religion. That is a very serious thing. As long as you avoid those conversations, you are good to go.
Well, you know what's a great thing about Wisconsin, too?
Cheese curds.
Cheese curds, and our friends from Minocqua Brewing. Ooh, they're very active up there. Yes. Founders of Minocqua Brewing tend to ruffle some feathers up there with a lot of the conservatives. But hey, I think it's good ruffling, if you ask me.
And for those of you who are like myself, California sober, they just had a line of THC infused.
Yes. I've got two of them. I've tried one already. There's another one that's like grape soda that's still sitting in my fridge that I've been meaning to try. Okay, can I tell you something? I'm not one to indulge in that a lot. But
what's a lot? That's the eye of the beholder. What's a lot?
I have it occasionally. Maybe
occasionally.
You know what? Maybe once every other month. To be honest,
God.
I'm not that big. I mean, I've done it, but I have to make sure that I've got plenty of time to just sit and relax with it. Definitely not going to go out.
No, I can't.
Do any of that.
Very antisocial.
Right. No, it makes me a little too social.
Oh no.
And so but it is good stuff. So I will vouch for it. So Minocqua Brewing was sponsors of Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez, as well as our friends at Source Solar and Kids Above All. We do also want to welcome our new sponsor, Are You Really Winning, as a part of Problem Gambling Awareness Month. We are happy to welcome them as a new sponsor because gambling is common in Illinois, with many people taking their chances on the lottery, video game rooms, casinos, or online sports betting. That's everywhere. Correct. Everywhere I go, I see online gaming. Where I go, especially like the electronic gaming, I get all these little coupons in the mail, like the local place that has, you can go there and do the little digital slots and sort of thing. They give you the first $10 is free. They kind of pull you in that way.
Anytime you are offered anything for free, You are the product.
I am the product.
You are the product.
Yeah, they ought to return me for a refund.
That's
but
right.
when you find yourself betting and thinking about gambling all the time, when you lose more than you win, and when gaming is affecting your job, relationships, and more, are you really winning? We are here to help you because you are not alone. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit areyourreallywinning.com today. And I mean, really, that is incredibly... This is very pertinent because gambling is just so much easier now than it's been. You have the online sporting apps, especially now with, we just had the Super Bowl pass.
Yes.
And people gamble on that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say where I gambled on the Super Bowl.
People gamble for the Oscars. I didn't know.
Yes.
Insane.
Yes, the Oscars. But there was a point there where they were actually entertaining the idea of betting on WWE wrestling.
Jeez.
Which is like, you realize, I mean, most people should know.
No, don't say it.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Is it real to you?
In my heart,
it's real.
Yes.
But it is. I know many folks who are in the pro wrestling. I was actually.
It is all I got. Like for the next 4 years, is holding on to the belief that WWE and the Real Housewives is actually real. That's the only thing getting me through the next 4 years, and I refuse for anyone to take that from me.
Okay, so then
I've lost enough.
You are distraught over this recent events with John Cena turning on the WWE Universe, teaming up with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the final boss, so that he can go to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't want to get into wrestling talk. That's not what CPT is about. But there is an interesting thing. Jon Stewart made an interesting comparison.
Tell me.
Saying that it's essentially what the Republican Party's done. It's like they've done a heel turn. And, they're they were passing themselves off as good guys, and now they're turning around and really giving it to everyone. They're really screwing everyone. And we've talked about this in the past, that politics really is, I mean, at least on the national level, in my opinion, and I see some of it on the local level, it's become very performative. It's turned into WWE. It's turned into, politicians who get in front of a camera and a microphone, and they say things about the other party, and it's like they're cutting a promo just to get their constituents worked up.
I shouldn't say this, but I am, because it's already top of mind. Speaking of performative, I worked with a elected official once who shall remain nameless. But
you're not doing like Patti, who goes,
So the first time Patti did that, my mouth dropped open. I'm not doing that. But what I will say is,
let's call him Tom.
No,
because that was his name.
No, we will. Right, and it's like no. But she's an elected official, and she's had the same haircut since the 1950s, so she's easy to look up. But she was giving me this lecture of how, she's so tired of all the woke politics, blah, blah, blah. And then 5 seconds later gets on a public platform and says, I strongly believe in DEI, and I vomit it. So politics from local all the way up has become 90. I'm not going to say 90%, but some of these politicians should have been nominated for awards on Sunday. They should have won.
If not Oscars, if not Emmys, at least a Slammy.
Something.
Slammies are
something.
For folks who don't get that, it's a wrestling award.
I know what it is.
You know what it is. But again, we are on WCPT 820 AM, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and not everyone watches pro wrestling. Not everyone's familiar with it.
Everyone certainly
do not want to alienate. Yeah, I don't want to alienate folks. So hey, get involved in the conversation, and we do have a guest that we will be having on at 6:00. Who's our guest today?
Her name is Mary Jo Mullen. She's running for mayor of Lisle,
and we'll be having her on at 6:00 in the second hour. Leading up to that, there was a lot of stuff that came up yesterday that we didn't get to talk about. Plus, man, I guess we're at war with Canada now. Again. So we will be talking about that. So if you have a conversation that you want to, if you want to participate in the conversation, 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-WCPT. Call us, text us. I've already see a call coming in. So we're caller.
It's my best friend Jim.
Hey Jim, hold on the line, buddy. We're going to hit a break right now. We'll get you right back after the break. This is Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal sitting in for Patti Vasquez on Driving It Home on WCPT 820 AM and Heartland Signal.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
We are driving it home on the Patti Vasquez Show with guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. Back for a second day.
Yes.
We were here yesterday, and okay, I did a lot of reflection after yesterday's show. And I have to say that I want to apologize to our guest yesterday.
Marie Newman.
Miss Marie Newman.
Yes.
Who was an incredibly good sport.
Who has a book out.
Has a book out that you can order now.
Correct.
What was it called again?
Let me get, because
you know what? I even had the stuff from yesterday. Shouldn't have put it away. But anyway, Mrs. Newman was on yesterday, and we were talking about different issues with the Democratic Party. And I kind of hit her. It was like in baseball terms, I threw her a fastball high and tight. And she was like, geez, can we just warm up here before you start trying to get me to criticize the Democratic Party, which I wasn't trying to do. I was just trying to be honest here, because I'm a Democrat, okay?
So am I.
I mean, I'm a progressive, and you can't be
but we're not in a cult. There's a difference.
That's correct. You can criticize your own party or have issues with how they handle certain things.
Absolutely.
So that was it. What was the name of her book?
A Life Made from Scratch by Marie Newman. You can buy it now at marienewmanstudios.com.
So anyway, I was a little bit too.
Well, it's funny. We did chat last night, and I will read for you word from word.
Oh, goodness.
Word for word. No, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
If it were bad, I would lie to you and tell you we didn't even talk about it. Because I was raised Southern Baptist.
Oh, there you go.
She said, tell Elliott the question was fine. No worries. See, she's a pro. You're good.
Of course, she's a pro.
Yeah,
of course.
she's
All right.
amazing.
So let's see if I can keep composed with our caller, Jim in Chicago. Thank
Jim,
you so
how's it
much.
going?
He's been holding all this time through the break. Jim, welcome to Driving Home with Patti Vasquez with Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. How are you doing, my friend?
All right. I was just thinking the only thing this criminally insane individual has uttered was on January 6th when he said, if we don't rush the camp, we don't take the capital, you won't have a country back. Well, I'd like to turn it around and say, if we don't rush the capital pretty soon, we won't have a country left. Because I guarantee you that Peter Thiel and Musk and these Afrikaners are going to put us on a crypto system that we won't even know what hit us. We only got a couple of years to do this. We've got to rush the capital ourselves. Now, you guys are young guys, but when in 69, this was without the benefit of social media or anything else. I was part of the 350,000 people that showed up in Washington, D.C., and I was with the Black Panther Party. I was with the radicals from Wisconsin, the Weathermen, et cetera, et cetera. And we didn't need any internet. We were there. We were all there.
Jim.
And it's time we all get there. We've all got to get there and get there soon, because this has gone too far. It's gone way, way too far. And we're Americans. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say, because you don't realize this, but you just dropped a huge bomb.
That is a
on
huge
us.
bomb.
And I feel like every time I'm here, I talk to you. So I just want to say thank you for your years of activism. That means I have a lot of family members that were members of the Black Panther Party. So thank you for your years of activism. That means a lot.
Yeah, but the point is, it's time to gear it up.
Yeah, no,
it's time to gear it up. We've been too dormant. I mean, we're like, I don't know what's happening. We're like zombies now. I mean, we became zombies for some reason. We weren't zombie-ized back in '69, I guarantee you that. We're zombie-ized now because we can allow a criminally insane person like this dictate policy with these Afrikaners, unelected Afrikaners who would successfully PayPal, whatever they were going to do. I mean, this is going really in the wrong. This is going, I don't know where it's going, but it's not good. It's not good. There's nothing about it that's any good. So, that's all I got to say. I'm ready to rush the Capitol. That's all I got to say.
All right,
Thanks, Jim.
We appreciate
all right,
that.
guys. Yeah, okay. Take care, guys.
Have a good one.
I do want to say something he touched on with the difference in the time frame. I think the reason folks are so, I don't know, zombie-like right now is we are overwhelmed. I think we're genuinely overwhelmed. I think it's kind of like when you go to a restaurant and they have a 5-page menu and you're really hungry. It takes forever. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's so many issues right now that I think so many of us just look at all the issues and we get overwhelmed and say, I'm just going to eat some Fritos
and has been discussed. It's on purpose. It's the fire hose.
Yeah.
It's like they knew that's a strategy. Hit you with so many things at once that you can only focus on one thing. Okay, so this whole thing with the Ukraine and Zelensky.
Yeah.
It happened, and people were stressing about it over the weekend, completely ignoring, and I have yet to see and CNN talk about it, the announcement that Trump says that we're going to have a cryptocurrency reserve in the United States, and which everyone should know, that cryptocurrency, it's what's called a pump and dump. And you get all this money into crypto, and then once it's in there, you get all these people put their money in that, and then suddenly a lot of that shifts over into the pockets of whoever the funder is, and the people who invested in crypto. It's that you call it a rug pull. The people who invested suddenly find themselves having pennies on the dollar. So the fact that Trump did that before, while he was being elected, he had the Trump coin, which was a way of him getting a lot of money. And then you had the Ivanka coin, and then you had the we had Dogecoin and this but so everyone's thinking about all these other issues when you have this sort of grift that's going on. That even a lot of folks don't understand how crypto works. I'm just going to tell you, this is how crypto works. It's a scam.
Well, I was talking to a girlfriend of mine the other day. We were talking about it, and I said, listen, here's the reality. If you put a gun to my head and my dog's head, who I love more than anything in the world, and said, explain cryptocurrency to me, we're both gone. I have no idea, and I don't want to know, and it's very confusing because it's a scam.
I'll tell you right now, this is the easiest way to explain crypto. It takes money in its most basic form, meaning an idea, and it tries to make it transferable. So let's say this is the idea. I have this crypto coin. I have this bit that I've generated. You, quote unquote, invest in this. So people put money in that, right? So that's where the value's coming from. All the money that people are putting into said coin, like an investment.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But here's the thing. Unlike other investments where you can track where it's going, crypto, you don't know where it's going. People will tell you they know where it's going.
That's why I'm out.
Right. People will tell you, oh, no, this is the way it works. Oh, no, this is what happens. No.
Right.
I've seen enough of this to know that it's a bait and switch. It's a scam.
I need to know where my money's going.
Exactly.
I'm a millennial. I've seen too much I came of age during Enron I'm scared.
Mark texts in, there was a huge demonstration at City Hall today around 1 when I was on my way to my volunteer job. Jim is right. This energy should be directed at Washington, D.C., not downtown Chicago. And I will say one thing about Jim that kind of it's just a personal thing. Okay, now mind you, I can often be heard on a different radio station in the west suburbs, and admittedly, that is a conservative radio station. So when between this place and that place, my brain kind of has to like shift gears, because when I'm on conservative radio, the people who call in are completely different, and I'm telling you. On that station, I mean, I've said it, WRMN, and don't get me wrong, they're conservative, but the folks there are trying very hard to get out of that right-wing bit and pull it more towards the center and be more balanced. I'm trying to be, but the audience still is really conservative. There's a guy out there, his name is James. He is the exact opposite of Jim.
Oh,
so
no.
There it is. Jim in Chicago. Jim in Chicago is like James is either James is Bizarro Jim or Jim is Bizarro James.
Yeah,
it's one of those.
I love it
because James out in the just this yesterday morning was talking about how great it was that Trump laid the smackdown on Zelensky in the Oval Office, and started going on about all these things, and this is the truth about Zelensky and so on. And I'm like, oh man! So when I go that station, it's one world. When I come here, it's a different world, and it's just sometimes I get a little bit of whiplash. All right, what kind of Dave do we have waiting for us on the line? Dave in Hoffman Estates. Hi, Dave. How you doing? You're on the air with Ken and Elliott, guest host on the Patti Vasquez show. Driving it home. How you doing?
Howdy, Dave.
I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm trying to get that intro out every time, and I kind of mush it up, but there we go.
Okay. I was going to tell you guys, I was reading a story earlier today where Trump administration trying to claim they canceled the lease for Obama's library in my hometown here in Hoffman, the one that he's got his artifacts in right now in that former furniture store. Well, according to, Musk's Doge, that they were going to cancel the stuff. Well,
I read that. Yeah, I read that.
It turns out that the contract was going to be up anyway this year, so they didn't really cancel nothing, that they're going to be moving that stuff out of state a little bit later this year. I just thought, how they kind of embellished a little bit, I believe,
Oh, yeah, it's definitely because you want to make it look like you're taking a shot at Obama. Like, oh, yeah, we're getting Obama out of here, too, which is something that obviously has been an issue, a stick in Trump's craw for a while.
Yeah. But I thought you might find that amusing, with this guy. And I don't know. You going to watch that thing tonight, or are you going to just wait till the news people, slice and dice it? And
I'm gonna watch the slice and dice version, Dave.
Yeah,
I believe I'm with you on that one too.
Yeah.
For my own mental sanity, I'm gonna watch the 30-second clip.
Yeah, I try not to get so totally into this thing that I ain't losing sleep, and I like certain people and that, and it's like. It's getting to be like we're screaming into the wind. We're doing all of this, but let's use like the Dick Durbins and all of these guys. They're not doing nothing. That's what we elected them for.
Well, no, continue, Dave. I'm sorry.
No, go on. I was going to
say.
We're in the minority is a problem.
Well, what I was going to say is we are in the minority, but I think I'm trying to find the politically correct way to say what I'm trying to say without getting 50 million emails, so I'm just going to say it. The problem is we have some really big fighters out there, Dave, that are and I can list them off. We have so many elder politicians, yes, that are used to the old way of doing business and reaching across the aisle, and that's not the way the game is played anymore. And they're trying to do something, but they're playing the old game and not the new game. Boom.
Thank you for that. Right. Dave, I got to hit a hard break right now, so thanks so much for calling in. Have a good one. All right.
You guys be well.
Thank you,
Dave.
All right. This is Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. When we come back, more talk here on WCPT 820 AM and the Heartland Signal.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
We are driving it home here on the Patti Vasquez show with guest host Elliott.
Almost came out of your mouth with Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. Sorry, you said... never mind.
Well, yes, it's funny that now on the second day, I'm flubbing the intros and the outros. Like yesterday when we were leaving the studio and I said, I was doing the outro and I said, okay, folks, see you next week. When I meant to say, see you guys tomorrow.
I didn't even notice.
You didn't catch that?
No.
Well, hopefully the folks didn't catch that. I mean, we did say we were going to be 2 consecutive days of the K&E experience. That's Ken and Elliott. So, yeah, it's been... Okay, we do have, I'm sorry, we do have also Ben Kamenos.
Yes, he is coming.
We got to get in touch with Ben. Ben, I'm sorry if you're listening and you're wondering why we haven't called you yet. It's because we're I'm trying to find your number. So hey, we're gonna get him on the line. He should be here on the show momentarily.
We're looking for you, Ben.
Yeah, he's so. Anywho, while we're getting that together. And I was talking about how my experience was with going from a conservative radio station to a progressive radio station, and sometimes it gives me a little bit of whiplash. And seeing it also puts, when I listen to this station and I listen to the other station, and how everyone is kind of looking at the current goings on. Like I joked this morning, now we're at war with Canada. I mean, I just get up in the morning. I'm making my coffee. I ask my smart speaker to play the news. By the way, if you have a smart speaker in your home, you can always call. You can always tell your smart speaker to play WCPT 820 AM, and then you'll be able to. Listen to this show and the many others. Yeah. Oh wait, hold on. From the 773. Speaking of Jim on the west, Jim. Thank you, Jim in South Elgin used to call in the WCPT, especially on Sunday when we had a black host who often catered to the righties. More often, he hasn't called in recently. He may have been banished for craziness. He always calls when I'm on the air.
And you know why. No,
and I'm telling you, go to the WRMN YouTube page and see me crash out one day on that show when I just had it. I just got so tired of the bizarro logic of the right. And I would say, look, y'all, this is not what y'all said. So I was biting my tongue. It's a morning show. And I don't want to talk politics in the morning show, but then people call in and they start going in. And then the guy who I was doing the morning show with, he's also a conservative. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, well, the country voted for this. That was what the caller said. At that point, I said, no, that's not. The country did not vote for mass deportations because they were being told, oh, no, we're going only after the criminals, the illegal aliens that are criminals. We didn't vote for that. We didn't vote for laying off veterans from the federal government. We didn't go for losing Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security, which is what's happening next. We voted for what? Lower prices. We voted for better housing, affordable housing, and we voted for affordable health care, none of which is coming. And if anything, things are getting more expensive because of these tariffs that Trump insisted would make us more money, and yet people throughout the campaign said, no, tariffs hurt more than help. Tariffs are going to hurt. Yep. Now they're in place, and things are going to get rough. And you know what's killing me? Is that on the right? All of it? They're like, yeah, all of it. But on the right, they're going, yeah, oh, no, that's the way it is. That's the way it's going,
It's funny you mentioned bizarro world, because I have a relative that is like me, but the opposite. He is evil, Ken. And he's a Republican, and he's a chair of his county organization, like I was of mine. And I've learned how to speak Republican. So, for example, when you said quote-unquote illegal immigrants. Right. So, in their minds, all immigrants are sort of illegal and criminal. So it all ties in together. Oh, yeah. Like, I've learned so when I hear things, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm starting to learn how you people operate. I'm starting to
What do you mean, you people?
Yeah, I say what I want. But no, I'm starting, it's you hear it, and it's like, okay, I'm almost fluent in Fox News. I'm proud of myself.
Oh, God. It's fluent and crazy.
Yep, I am.
I'm sorry. I don't mean, I try very hard to be understanding of people of different beliefs, of different perspectives.
Well, that's not a belief. That's insanity. It's
but that's,
different thing.
there is a particular derangement there that happens. And when you know for a fact, I mean, again, I'm going to separate the opinion shows on Fox from the news shows on Fox.
They have news shows on Fox?
They do have news shows, but they don't get any attention because they're doing actual news.
Got it.
Who gets the attention? The Hannitys, the Fox and Friends, the new guy, Jesse waterboarded me. I don't know.
I gave up on. I tried watching Fox. I tried to become even more fluent, and I was watching one night and. I something in my head clicked. I deserve better.
Oh, definitely.
And I turned it off.
You don't need to be played.
I'm good.
You don't need to get played. Just like Paul in Seattle doesn't need to get played. Paul, who has been holding patiently. Yes. Welcome to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez and guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. How are you doing?
How's it going, Paul?
Greetings, brothers. I had to respond to, I guess, was it you were listening to Fox where somebody said, the people voted for this?
Yes. This person called in and said that the people voted for all these things that Trump is doing.
Okay, well, this is what right-wingers don't understand. I don't care if it was 100% of people. You can't vote for something that's unconstitutional. I'm sorry. Matter of fact, so in other words, you can't just think, in other words, you can't vote for the executive to cut funding that Congress has already allocated. You can't vote for the president to unilaterally nullify the so-called birthright citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment. You can't vote for that. That's matter of fact, most right-wingers don't understand. You don't even have a constitutional right to vote for president, even though the Supreme Court reminded us of that in Bush versus Gore. They don't understand that. They don't understand the Constitution at all. They really actually hate America. They like it so little they don't really care to understand it, and they just think it's whatever we want, and we won. We won, man. We won. We won. So no, you can't vote. You can't vote for unconstitutional things, even though we can take it that the Supreme Court said that whatever Donald Trump does in his official capacity is legal. That doesn't mean that all things that are legal, that there are none that are unconstitutional. That doesn't mean that. I think the Constitution, honestly, is a little too subtle for these folks. It just is. You know?
And
no argument here, Paul.
They don't want a president. They want a king. Thanks, Paul, for calling in. We appreciate your perspective.
Okay.
And I hate to cut things short with Paul, but we do owe our next guest a few minutes before and after the break. We want to welcome our regular guest, Ben Kamenos from Outside the Box from WHBY in the dairy state, right? Wisconsin's the dairy state. Am I wrong there, Ben?
That sounds right. I've only lived here 2 years plus myself, but yeah, we're known for that among other things.
The cheese, the wonderful
Wisconsin
cheese.
is the Badger State.
The Badger State, yes, that too. I'm sorry.
No worries, Ben. I'm here for the assist. Don't you worry, my friend.
There we go. Thank you.
How are you doing, Ben? Tell us what's happening up there? What we Chicagoans say beyond the cheddar curtain.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. So I don't know how familiar you are with the program, but I try and foster like a collective kind of audience there across the political spectrum. And patience is growing thin, to be perfectly frank here. I mean, I think Wisconsin's going to be the first litmus test of how frustrated people are with Republicans versus how frustrated people are with the current Democratic regime, with the Supreme Court coming up here in April. But fundamentally, right now, you've seen the town halls. I was just at a budget listening session yesterday that had close to 100 people at it in Appleton. There's a lot of agitation. And as much as they're trying to spin it as some kind of Soros-backed nonsense, these are my listeners calling in with live reports from the event. Like, these are people I've known for 2.5 years. It's grassroots and organic, and it's awesome to see. As far as Trumpers go, I can tell there's starting to be a couple dents in the armor here, but they're a little stubborn to kind of acknowledge just how poorly things are trending right now.
It's funny, and here's my thing, and I guess, and I'm going to get criticized by some folks with the broad brush painting, and how dare you say this about
we're all
fellow Americans and blase. But you know what's happening, and what is happening right now, especially with MAGA, they're doubling down on what's happening, because even though what Trump is doing is really hurting them too and hurting everyone, you're seeing this all across social media. Oh, well, I support President Trump, but why did I have to lose my job? But I still support President Trump. To me, it's kind of like those flat earthers who got flown to Antarctica to experience 24-hour sun, which would then prove to them that the Earth was not flat, and they're like, that's probably not it. It's like flat earthers and MAGA. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what experience they have, they're not going to change their minds.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it 12 months, but your point is not lost on me. I'm willing to, because right now, as clearly, as obviously as everything is going poorly, they can say it's only been 6 weeks, and there is validity to that statement. But the three of us and most of the listening audience know it sure as hell isn't going to get better over the course of the next 46 weeks or whatever it is. So it is going to go the wrong way. I think that gets at a bigger issue, though. A lot of people online saying, and by the way, every time I bring this up, I do say, as frustrating as it is, liberals and progressives need to welcome these people that stray away into the party and not be jacked about it, as hard as that is. But it does go to show there is a lack of empathy within that party, because they didn't think they would be the ones that are let go. And the ones that voted Trump that didn't lose their job are still 100% on board, whereas you're starting to see the wavering with the people who got affected. Wait 6 months from now when everything's 25% more expensive and they don't have a job. Then let's see how much they're still like, well, let's let Donald Trump cook. I think call me Pollyannish. I do think that the illusion is starting to crack. There just needs to be a place for them to land when it does.
Ben, can you hang with us until after the break?
Yeah, sure.
Excellent. All right. So we want to make sure that a lot of stuff I want to talk to Ben about. Me too. So anyway, we're going to hit this break. When we come back, we will return with Ben Kamenos of Outside the Box from WHBY in Wisconsin. This is Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez with guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal on WCPT 820 AM and the Heartland Signal. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Finish here before and we are back from the break. This is Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal sitting in for Patti Vasquez, who is still in New Orleans hosting her show Driving It Home here on WCPT AM 820 and the Heartland Signal. We've got Ben Kamenos of WHBY in Wisconsin. He's the host of Outside the Box, and we've been talking about, Trump voters believe the earth is flat or something like that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just a matter of time, in my opinion. I'm hopeful that is the case at the very least. I can say, at a minimum, the MAGAs that listen to my show will be embarrassed out of supporting him over the case of the next year, because I have a memory I don't know what the word, like a steel trap. I will remember the things that they ran on. Right now, what they're hiding behind is ending wars and yada, yada, yada. Give it time. This is going to suck. And it sucks that we have to go through this. But on the other side, I'm optimistic.
Well, to the point, I mean, I've said kind of what you're saying. Keep those receipts, because a lot of times I mean, it's hilarious that all you have to do is keep all those screenshots of what Trump said on Truth Social during the campaign, and what he said on Truth Social compared to what's actually happening now. It's nowhere near that. And what did he famously say? We're going to make the price of it. Groceries going to be more affordable. Everything's going to be better. I'm going to solve the Ukraine war in a day. Give me 24 hours. That's all I need. I'll solve it in a day. And all these things that, people will say later on, it was hyperbole. Of course he's not going to end it in a day. Of course he's not going to bring all the prices down right away. And yet, speaking as far as optics, Trump has done nothing to this point to address the cost of living. If anything, he's making things worse, more difficult. And the right is just in step behind, saying, he's just let him do his thing. We got to trust him. He's making a deal. He's the negotiator. Makes me remember when George W. Bush called himself the decider. I'm the decider.
He did that?
Oh,
yeah.
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah. So Trump is a negotiator.
He's a negotiator.
But what is he negotiating?
I don't know.
I have no idea. and all the things that people were criticizing Biden for. Oh, he doesn't seem entirely there. He has these cognitive issues. There was this bit where Trump,
Biden, right?
I'm sorry, Biden.
Yeah.
Biden had cognitive issues. Well, no, and then they were saying that about Trump in his first term. Yeah. There was this bit now with the ambassador from Great Britain passed Trump a letter that came from King Charles, and it said, "Oh, this is for you." And Trump's like, and it's like he couldn't read it. The dude couldn't read a letter. But no one's talking about that. Had Biden gone, I don't know what's going on here, somebody read it to me, the right would have been falling over themselves over that whole thing. Because remember the whole thing, Biden needs a prompter.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I agree with your sentiment there that you're sharing, but where I differ, what drives the people on the left who listen to me nuts is you're 100% right in your assessment. But if you go on my show back in January of 23, I had an agricultural expert from Farm Action talking about one company, Cow Maine, receiving over 600% profit increases while selling eggs because they're operating as a monopoly, hiding behind the avian flu. That was January of 23. I then brought somebody else from the same organization on my show in January of this year to have the same conversation about the same company who, albeit the Biden administration did crack down on, they now are only receiving 250% of the profits that they were making in 2021 off of artificially increased price eggs, hiding behind avian flu yet again. You'll get not an ounce of pushback from me that Donald Trump has no intention of fixing this problem. He never did, because the answer to the solution is crack down on the very obvious price gouging. You're not going to convince me the Democrats had a viable option. In all honesty, I say this on the show all the time. If it's March 4th, 2025, and Kamala Harris is president, we don't have the tariffs, we don't have the inevitable price increases, but the out-of-control costs are absolutely still there, and the Democrats did not have a solution, in my opinion, that brought enough people out to vote. So they need to make it clear, not only is Trump not doing it, but we actually have a plan this time. And I don't know if I'm seeing that yet.
Those are good. Those are very valid points. I got to give you that. I have no notes.
Me either. You win, Ben. We're all going home.
Well, that was a great show, everybody.
Good night.
Right.
No, I'm just,
see you next week.
Every time I come on this show, I always feel like such a downer because I'm so hard on liberals. But
well,
Ben, you don't understand. I joke that I'm like the guy at Bruce Willis at the end of Sin City, just punching the ground because I'm so mad at the Democratic Party for putting us in this position that I just really want to make sure they have a plan to get us out of it.
Ben, I don't know if you were listening to the show yesterday, but I did kind of get on the Democratic Party myself. And, I tend to be a little bit, mind you make a really good, articulate, well-argued point.
Yes.
I just yell, Democrats need to do better. That's kind of me.
I'm somewhere in the middle of both of you. I'm somewhere in the middle. It depends on the day.
What radicalized me was I have a caller that followed me. I started off doing my radio career in Pittsburgh, and I had a guy who listened in West Virginia, and he was the biggest Trump hater, he still is, that you can possibly imagine. And in 2018, he was saying, Ben, we have a record high stock market and record low unemployment, and no one can afford a spare set of tires. I'm like, I know, man, it's nuts. And then you fast forward 5 years later, and all the metrics stayed exactly the same. Great stock market, record low unemployment. No one has excess expenses, but Biden was president, and that same guy who was saying, what are we going to do to fix it, was saying, actually, Americans don't know how to spend their money. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? It's the same metrics. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's dispelling that attitude that the other party is the only one messing up. We got to hold everybody to account here.
Thank you, Ben. And can we please get that tattooed across all of our foreheads, that we have to hold everyone account? No
offense, Ken, but I don't have as much real estate as you do to have something like that tattooed. You've got that big,
I feel insulted,
shaved.
so we're going to move on. But my point is, I don't know where this is going. I have a giant forehead, clearly. But my point is there are so many, and I get this all the time, Ben, and I'm sure you do too, of folks that'll go, Ken, if you're a Democrat, why are you criticizing the Democrats? And it's like, because that's my team. It's the team I play for, so I have every right. That's the team I play for. That's the team I practice with. That's the team I invest in. I have every right to say, what are we doing here?
Oh, yeah, the loudest arguments on my show are not with MAGAs, it's with liberals.
Yes.
Because a lot of the MAGA perspectives, when they're like, AOC is a communist, she's too stupid to vote, I'm like, okay, you don't have any actual criticism. I really don't even need to engage.
Correct.
It's when you're talking to somebody on the same side who has questionable motives, and you're like, well, what do you mean by that? And that's when it gets intense, and that's the way it should be.
I agree.
It doesn't happen at all on the right. I can tell you that there's not a whole lot of that on the right, but you got to keep that attitude.
I will, Ben. I will.
Well, thank you, Ben, as always, for offering your perspective. For our listeners, where can people hear you, follow you, your socials, all that great stuff?
I'm on, the Twitter and Facebook, just Ben Cominos. It's Dominoes with a C. And then I'm anywhere you listen to podcasts. We also have a WHCY app, but just search Outside the Box with Ben Cominos on anything, and it'll pop up.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Sorry we got to you a little bit late, but I'm telling you, this was fun.
This was awesome.
We got to do this again.
Oh, yeah, anytime, guys. Just let me know.
All right.
I'll bring the happiness.
Thank you. Democrats got to do better. All right, folks. That's our first hour. We're going to hit this break, and when we come back, we've got more guests.
We have more stuff to tell you, and we have more attitude to share. So this is Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal sitting in for Patti Vasquez on Driving It Home on WCPT AM and the Heartland Signal. We'll be back after this break.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Yeah, folks, we are driving it home on the Patti Vasquez show here on WCPT AM and the Heartland Signal. Want to welcome our friends in Minnesota at KTNF AM 950. And for those, of course, listening on the Heartland Signal, this is going to be another hour of hopefully me not yelling into the microphone like I did in the last hour. Folks, if you're in Minnesota, you're not listening on the syndicate, you missed you missed something. And I told myself I would be better today. And I don't know. Have I been better?
I feel like you're doing a lot better.
A lot better. Thank you. I'm not being a little too aggressive in my questioning.
I mean, not yet, but we have another guest coming up, so Lord only knows where this is going.
For those who are just joining us, we want to thank our sponsors, Minocqua Brewing, Source Solar, Kids Above All, as well as Are You Really Winning? We want to welcome Are You Really Winning as a new sponsor of the Patti Vasquez Show. During Problem Gambling Awareness Month, which is March. Betting, gaming, wagering, no matter what you call it, gambling can take many forms. And for some people, gambling can lead to financial problems, relationship problems, and depression and anxiety. But you don't have to feel out of control. Problem gambling can be managed and treated. We are here to help you because you are not alone. To get the help that you need, let's not have an intervention for our gambling friends. You know, if you know you need the help, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit areyoureallywinning.com today. And we talked about this in the first hour about how easy it is to gamble. And I'm telling you, if you're worried about paying your mortgage because you've been gambling too much, that's when you need to get a little bit of assistance.
I agree.
All right. So coming back into this hour, we do have another guest. Her name is Mary Jo Mullen.
Mary Jo Mullen, yes.
She is a current village trustee and former Lisle Township supervisor.
Yes, she is.
A stormwater engineer and flood protection advocate with FEMA experience.
Damn right.
And she is running for office?
Mayor of Lisle.
So let's welcome Mary Jo Mullen to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. How are you doing, Mary?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me.
Anytime, Mary Jo. How are you?
I'm doing good. Things have been very exciting the last couple of weeks, but we're doing great over here.
Well, I'm going to start off with asking you something a little aggressive because I don't know if you listened yesterday, but Elliot was totally aggressive right away. So I'm going to take that karma. Question for you, Mary Jo.
Mm-hmm.
What in the heck is going on in the Lisle Police Department right now?
Oh, whoa. You went there. Wow. Okay. Wow.
I've been reading about it.
I know.
And
Hold on, folks.
I want to talk about it.
If you're watching on the YouTube or the Facebook, look at the face I'm making now. Yesterday, you made the face. Yeah, today, I get to make the face. Okay.
I want to know.
All right, Mary Jo, not to put you on a spot.
Can you talk to me about it?
Of course. I would love to talk about it because our police force has been really neglected over the last 8 years under our current mayor. I'll start with this. In December, there was a series of interviews we held to appoint a new police chief. We have been without a police chief, without that kind of leadership for over a year at this point.
Which is insane.
Insane. And our previous police chief had to be removed and retired under difficult circumstances. And overall, we've had 4 different chiefs in the last 7 years under our current mayor. So there's just not been continuity, not been really leadership to mentor our younger officers, to really help define a path for our more experienced and seasoned officers and sergeants. So it's been really a struggle internally. And because of the chief search and the fact that we started talking about the fact that we really need a chief appointed and only the mayor can take that action, we were actually approached by email from our police union asking, do you guys know what's really happening? And turns out we didn't. So a couple at a time, trustees were sitting down with our police union members, and they kind of told us the story of how their fleet has not been maintained, the facilities have not been maintained, our gun range isn't working properly. It's just been a mess for them. And the worst part is they are severely understaffed and underfunded for what they need to be able to do. We have 4 patrol areas in Lisle. Only 3 of them are covered most nights because of our staffing problems. We've spent over $2 million on overtime trying to make coverage in the last several years. And our staffing levels have gone down overall 16% in the 8 years under the current mayor. So our police have been defunded and neglected. And, you know, it's almost funny. We joke that we're living in bizarro world here, that, you know, someone who is liberal like me is the one standing up and saying, this isn't right. Our police need our support. Our police need to be able to do their job. And, you know, it's a major risk for public safety in our community. It is a major risk to the safety of our officers to be burnt out, to be stretched so thin,
yes,
to just be putting in so much time and effort. So it's been really hard for our entire department. Both our sworn officers and our civilians have all been feeling all of the stress and strain over the last 8 years, and they deserve way better.
Wow. That is a lot. That is a lot. Because I know I was online and I saw, and it was just like, how is this possible? And I would expect this from a first-time mayor, possibly. But he's been in office for a very long time. And I don't want to talk too much about your opponent because that's not what you're here for. But I wanted to get the police stuff out of the way so we can talk about you. But I had to find out what the heck is going on there.
Yeah, no, it's been a real disaster, and at the end of the day, he's a very far right conservative that believes that taxes should really not exist, and has forced our staff to cut and cut and cut, and now it's completely impacted our staffing and our ability to serve the public.
So, Mary Jo, as mayor, what are a few of the things that you want to do in Lisle that you plan on doing?
Yeah, totally. I think number one right now related to police is that we will appoint a chief, get a strong leader in, and help work with him or her to restructure our organizational structure of the department, ensure that there's adequate leadership, ensure there's adequate coverage, and really be supportive of the police. That's got to happen very quickly. Longer term, and it'll start immediately, but it's going to be something that builds up, is economic development within our town. Our town has a lovely downtown that has a train stop, and there's no reason it shouldn't be thriving the way our neighbors in Downers Grove and Naperville have. And there are abandoned buildings that are boarded up, shops that are closing constantly, because we haven't put enough attention into developing, redeveloping, and modernizing our infrastructure and our economic development approaches. So we have that downtown area in a long corridor around Route 34 in Ogden that needs a lot of attention also. So we are not seen as development friendly. We are not seen as friendly to people who want to do business in Lisle, and we need to change that approach. That starts from day one of being open, receptive, and responsive to people who want to come in and do business with us. And that'll be a huge part of what we have to focus on. And
Mary Jo, where can people give me an email or give me a website? Where can we throw our money at you? That didn't come out the way in my head. It sounded so much better than it came out of my mouth, and I apologize. My God.
You can go to LisleForward.com.
LisleForward.com. Okay.
LisleForward.com is the slate of amazing trustees who are running with me for the village, as well as a park district commissioner and a library trustee as well, candidates. That'll give you information about all of us. It'll give you links to how to donate to us, and other ways you want to support us. Anyone here locally in Lisle who needs a yard sign to stand up and say we need change in our community, you can ask for one of those too.
And when's the election?
April 1st. March 17th is the beginning of early voting. Early voting is particularly important in this municipal cycle, at least here in DuPage in our area, because spring break is the week of the election. And so anybody who's going to be gone for spring break needs to make sure they have a plan for voting and vote early.
Excellent. Mary Jo, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Best of luck in your campaign.
Thank you so much. It's always fabulous talking to y'all.
Yes, and thank you. I'll be checking in with you soon. And listeners, when we come back, we are going to be talking to you. Stay tuned.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Hey, folks, this is Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez with guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. If you're not watching us on the Facebook or the YouTube, there is a layer to this show that you're missing out on.
I partially wish you guys could listen to what happens
when there's no sound, but you can see what's happening. And sometimes things get very animated, I guess.
It is a circus in here.
I would say.
But before we finish our show, let's talk about places where it's not a circus. I'm guessing on Choose Views because it's so early. So tomorrow on Choose Views, Richard's guests will include Jade Dill, Director of Budgetary Analysis at the Center for Tax and Budget Accountability, and Wednesday morning regular Kurt Mullen, a.k.a. Hoosier Blue 63. Choose Views, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m., the Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Wednesday on Live, Local, and Progressive, Jonas Pizzito will be joined by Jet Here, National Affairs Correspondent and columnist for The Nation, Dan Hinkle, investigative editor at Injustice Watch, Mike Lux, co-founder of Democracy Partners, and Michael Kang, Northwestern professor of law. Live, local, and progressive weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m. Central on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk, for 20 years. And tomorrow, Patti will be back broadcasting live from New Orleans. And our guests include investigative journalist and filmmaker Greg Palast.
Oh. And for folks, if you've just been tuning in, Ken and I have hosted these last couple days.
Yes.
And it's always been an interesting thing that occurs that when we get a lot of phone calls, not so many texts. When we get a lot of texts, not so many phone calls. But also part of that's on me because I haven't been giving out the number as frequently as I could. 773-763-9278. 773-763-WCPT. If you want to call in, we're guest free. We're flying. We're going commando on this
one. As I stare directly into the camera. Hello.
And, but there are plenty of texts to go through. And, oh, goodness.
What are the texts?
I would say, well, the text, here's the thing, because when I first sit down, I will go through the text line because I don't know if you were listening to the Joan Esposito show earlier today.
I was.
She was on fire.
It was great. On
fire. And I was listening to her going, whoa! She was dishing it. I mean, I'm telling you. And she had some great guests on.
Yeah.
So I'd like to listen to her show because then it will kind of give me a sense of what the temperature is going to be when I walk into the studio.
I know.
What people are thinking. And then I look at this text screen and go, oh my goodness. Yeah, I see what the temperature is. And then, of course, things, I started talking about the other station that I go to and what happens to me there. So, and actually, I'm going to revisit that.
What happens to you?
What happens? I'm going to revisit that in a moment because I do have some text regarding that. But
let's go.
We've got Roosevelt on the line. Roosevelt, how you doing, my friend?
How's it going, Roosevelt?
Gentlemen, thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
Okay, I got a couple of questions for you guys. First of all, during your news break, you guys, they were reporting that he's planning on cutting at least or about half of the IRS. He's been doing to the federal government a lot of cuts. How is this guy going to avoid of things going wrong with less employees? You can't avoid everything because he's making it's like a grass cutter. He's cutting dandelions, he's cutting grass and shrubbery. So how is he going to avoid? How is he going to, you see what I'm saying? That's my first question.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is I noticed that the guy that was questioning Zelensky on Friday was a reporter and I'd like to know more information from you guys. You guys are more in the know. I know he's a right-winger because this is the first time I've seen where a leader of a country, and come to think of it, here's other questions I got for you guys. It's the first time I've seen a vice president involved with the president trying to make a deal, let's just sort of say, the art of the deal in Trump's terms. So back to the reporter, he asked him, how come he doesn't have a suit? That's never happened, and neither has a vice president. I know the vice presidents are the attack dogs, but we've seen it on camera in front of everybody. It was all a setup. It was all bushwhack. They bushwhacked the man. And from all sides, from the press, vice president, president. So this was premeditated, in my opinion, and it was supposed to be going the other way, meaning he wanted Zelensky to grovel and to bend the knee and to show. But in my opinion, guys, he mentioned, and I've said this before, he mentioned that Zelensky doesn't have the cards. But I think Trump overexposed himself and showed the world how he does business, how he does deals. His way of doing it is my way or the highway, and I get everything, you get nothing. And on top of it, you have to thank me, which, by the way, as far as I know, Zelensky thanked the U.S. at least 33 times. What do you think about everything?
Well, I'm sorry, Roosevelt. Let's go in order. I'm going to go in order real quick with all these cuts being made. How do we know things are going to go wrong? Let me give you this example. And this is a thing that I keep asking folks, because saying, well, government's too big and we have too many people who work in the government and blase, blase, blase. Okay, folks, how did you feel when your local grocery store started cutting back on the number of cashiers there and started putting out the self-checkout?
Nobody liked it.
A lot of people are like, I don't like this. Why do I have to work myself? And the self-checkout actually slows things down. When you don't have enough cashiers there, it slows things down. How do you feel when a company cuts back on its customer service and they insist that you go through an automated system to get any sort of help? Look at what's been happening at Facebook. Facebook services a population of I want to say the Facebook total users right now is around 8 billion people. It's like the most wide. It could be even more than that. I take that back. 8 billion is like the entire planet. The service user base of Facebook is in the billions, all right? So it's in the billions. And they keep cutting back on the number of folks who actually work at Facebook, thinking, AI is going to take care of the issues with, online harassment and so on. When they started cutting back on the number of people who were working at Facebook, what did that do for the user experience? How people were, the customer service? People were angry about it because it deteriorated.
Correct.
And the same thing is going to happen with the federal government. And especially when it comes to the IRS, which
is already a nightmare.
When it's tax time things are going on and you need to get a hold of somebody because you're getting this letter saying that you owe this money or you've got a refund coming to you and it hasn't shown up yet. Oh my goodness, people are going to be upset about that. But the whole point behind cutting back on the IRS is so that you do not have enough people who can audit really the folks who should be paying more. Now, to the bit about the...
I wanted to touch on the reason for the meeting.
Go on.
So the reason that the vice president was there, and you kind of touched on it yourself, Roosevelt, it was a bullying tactic. I genuinely believe before that ambush, Trump had the vice president, his reporter friends, and their job was to demean him and make him look small. And the question about the suit was totally a classist question. It was all done for theatrics. It was all done to bully him. And what you witnessed was bullying at a national level. It was mean-spirited, and it was done to, people that don't have real power fake having power. So what you saw was Trump with his small ego and his small hands pretending to be this big, scary monster and and so smart and so big and so powerful, and that's all it was. It was all a show.
There's a term that many folks have said that the tactic of having Vance jump in is an old Hollywood trick called the stranger in the room.
Yeah.
Where you have someone in the room to pretty much sabotage it for you.
Yep.
So it's to divert the attention away from Trump. You know, Trump is going to be like, oh, yeah, I want to do this. We got to do this. We got to do that. And then Vance comes in and goes, well, this is the problem here and there. And except what backfired there at that point was that Trump sided with Vance, and it became as you said, it was a pile on, a dog pile. And, and the thing that really disappointed me, too, is, Zelensky, English is not his first language, and he's trying really hard to communicate what's happening.
It was all horrible.
And there was a lot of terrible intolerance. Oh, yeah, and the reporter is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's all and thank you for the questions, by the way, Roosevelt. We really appreciate it. I do want to say...
Thank you, guys.
No problem. I do want to say that we have a break coming up. So listen live weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. at 8:20 a.m. on TuneIn from heartlandsignal.com, or watch the live video stream on WCPT's Facebook or YouTube pages. When we get back, we're going to continue driving you home.
Listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
We are driving it home with guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. We are discovering that Ken and I have issues communicating with our signals. So if you saw me on the camera, on the Facebook or the YouTube, and you saw me do my finger like this, apparently Ken thought I was telling him, be quiet or keep your thoughts to yourself, when all I meant was, hey, we've got a minute to the break. And then,
if it makes you feel better, anyone who knows me personally knows has communication issues.
Well, can I tell you something, though? Our producer agreed with you, though.
Yes.
He agreed. He said, hey, they made it look like you were telling him no.
Well,
I will accept my responsibility in that.
Thank you.
From now on, I'm going to bring little flashcards that say 1 minute. Because, no, don't get me wrong.
I love that you think I'm literate.
Oh, boy.
I love that you think.
I am so concerned about the youth.
I love that I'm considered the youth.
Well, no, you work for Youth Outreach.
Youth Outlook.
Outlook, I'm sorry.
And that's youth-outlook.org. Please go and check us out. We're a great organization. Please donate. But anyway.
No, it is a great organization. In fact, we really should be talking about it more.
We can at the bottom of our show. But
in fact, I'm going to have you talk, what I'm going to do?
Tell me.
So, folks, so you know.
Are you going to wag at me?
No, I'm not going to wag at you, but I'm borrowing Ken from the Patti Vasquez show. I'm going to take him with me over to the other side, over to the conservative side, and you'll be with me coming up the end of this week.
Will.
And it's going to be so nice to have a friend there.
It's
going to be so nice to have a friend.
Scared, but
don't be scared.
No,
don't be scared.
I've done.
And I promise I won't wag my finger at you then.
Honestly, you might have to. It might be warranted.
Right. But anyway, so again, if you have been listening here on WCPT AM 850,
820.
Good golly, because I'm looking at KTNF AM 950 for our friends up in Minnesota, at KTNF 950, as well as WCPT 820 AM, and on the Heartland signal. You can call, you can text 773-763-9278 to participate in the conversation. Let us know what you think. I'm going through texts right now, so while I'm sorting that out, let's bring on Steve from Chicago. You are on the Patti Vasquez show, driving it home, this time with Elliott and Ken. How you doing, Steve?
How's it going, Steve?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I just wanted to chime in on the Zelensky thing because it's an issue. There's a point that I haven't seen covered much recently, and I'm no fan of Trump, but you got to understand that poor guy had to sit down in his own office with a man that he knows his wife wants to nail.
Well, it's the same thing when Trudeau was there, and when Macron was there, it was like,
Steve, this is my favorite call of the day. I didn't even. I missed the love triangle. And poor Vance Rubio was sitting on his couch. It was a mess.
Yeah,
now it all makes sense.
But it's just Rubio's feeling uncomfortable because Vance is like running his hands over the cushions.
Yes,
I'm soon.
Fully understanding. Oh,
that's a good one, Steve.
That's a movie that we're just waiting for someone to make.
We're going to call that couch cushion elegy. It'll be on Cinemax after dark.
Boom, chicka, boom,
Oh, man. Does this happen when Patty's on? I was going to say, does this happen with Patty's on, or is it just when we really bring it down a level there, humor?
If you want to class up the joint, don't invite me. It's on my business card. Not what I do.
Oh, God, Steve, thanks for that.
Steve.
Oh, God, that was funny. That's hilarious. Oh, my goodness.
I needed that.
I needed that, too.
That was awesome.
Okay, let me jump in here real quick because I've got, again, these texts and stuff that have been going through. I'm not going to talk anymore about that other station for now. With all respect.
Okay.
Why is nobody talking about Trump's first term, where tariffs cost the U.S. taxpayer over $29 billion to bail out farmers? I mean, yeah. Well, with this current trade war now, that's going to be the case again.
Again, yes.
That Trump is going to say, "Oh, we're making all this money," but you're going to have to give money to farmers who are going to be losing money because of the trade war. And I'm telling you, I listened to that. I listened to Trudeau's press conference this morning, saying he's like, "Hey, you know what? It's going to happen. We're not going to say." I think a lot of folks learned much from the first Trump administration, and they know that there are no guardrails this time. So really being nice and diplomatic's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
You're going to have to just fight back. And if Trump wants to bloody your nose, they're going to bloody ours.
And that's the thing. You got to fight back. You can't. They tried.
And so I don't know. It's unfortunate because it's, again, away from people what they voted for.
Yep.
From the 360, good point. Using the checkouts at a grocery store, we're doing the work and our grocery prices aren't going down.
They aren't.
Little to no government services will still be paying higher taxes.
And can I just bring out a little thing to touch on that, because that really infuriates me. When stores hired real people, think back 10 years ago, you could actually go to your local Walgreens, CVS, and get lotion and toothpaste and etc. You bring in self-checkout, and now everything's locked up. So now, not only do you not have enough workers that you have to check yourself out, you have to buzz a button to get someone to come over. I mean, I know I'm not the only one that's seen these things. You have to get someone to come over, unlock everything. What they've done is they've elongated our shopping time. It's horrible.
I went to Jewel yesterday, and I looked at the self-checkout line. It was like ridiculous.
It's crazy.
And I went to the one open register, and she was just standing there. It's like, I just walked in and thank you. Going out, all I wanted was like a big thing of toilet paper and some cough drops.
I just want to leave.
I know.
I just
getting through.
Leave.
But to me, it just astounds me. People talk about big government and all government's too big and we spend too much money. We have a population of 330-something million. Of course, government's got to get bigger. You can't make it smaller, because the smaller you make it, the harder it is to serve. If our population dropped 100 million, maybe.
Well, here's the problem. I'm going to hit the nail right on the head. Most Americans center themselves in everything. So if they don't need it, it leaves their mind. Like, I understand, because I'm not an a-hole, that the government does not exist just for Ken Mejia-Beal. So there are entities that are needed that don't revolve around me. I really do believe folks that say the government is too big, they think about what they utilize the government for, and everything else can go. We have a huge country with a lot of people with a lot of needs. I think the government is the size it should be.
I get that.
Yeah.
Someone, while you were saying that, someone texted, and I do believe it's a play on my hillbilly elegy, the couch cushion elegy joke, but it's hillbilly zivanilli. I'm not getting it. I'm sorry, 708. I'm dropping the ball on your joke. But okay. Yeah, that's the whole thing is that, it's funny. Vance, before he got into office and he was running, he gave vibes like being kind of a progressive dude. Like, he was for trans people. He was for, LGBTQ, rights. He was for kind of like, again, the poor, for all of them, because and yet now that he's in office, he's just a sycophant. It's the sycophancy is what drives me nuts.
That is what happens when insecure folks get into politics. They become sycophants, and they do whatever the quote-unquote chosen leader tells them to do. And I'm actually writing a little bit of a book on that, which will be out next year.
Ooh, I'm writing a book too. It has nothing to do with politics.
Oh, it's all about fun suburban politics, sycophants, and fake dictators. As I stare directly into the camera, I'm coming for you, baby.
Hillbilly Vanilli is the joke. What's the joke? Again, we were talking about Vance. That would be his nickname, Hillbilly Vanilli.
I just got it.
You just got it?
Yes.
There you go. All right.
I just got it. And instead of laughing, I just yell, I got it.
Oh, my goodness.
Sorry.
And then, just again, if you want to call in, if you want to text, 773-763-9278. We've got a few minutes left before we go into the final 15 minutes. And, man...
Well,
wait,
right now...
Yeah, hit us.
Right now on the Driving It Home Featured Interviews podcast, you can hear Patty's recent interviews with Wisconsin State Senator Dianne Hesselben, Texas State Rep James Tallarico, Single Car Crashes writer-director Brittany Ward, and cast members Trevor Morgan and Paula Ozinski. Walter Mendenhall, former NFL running back and founder of Male Mogul Initiative, former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, and much more. I wasn't joking about being illiterate. Find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon. Just search for Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez, or get the links on the Driving It Home show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com and clicking on Patty's picture.
It's like you froze up there for a moment.
Well, what happened is...
I was like, hello?
There was a semicolon, and I'm not wearing my glasses or my contacts, and it kept and my head kept going back to the line above it. And it's like, no, I'm in the Twilight Zone. It's happening.
I think for a moment you were like the duplicates in Westworld, where, it's like you just froze, and then I can see...
Next time that happens, just throw something. I'll come right back. I'll start quoting Macarena, but I will come back and just start speaking.
And of course, hey, if you missed yesterday's show, which was just as lively as today, you can find those episodes and all others on the Heartland Signal page of the Patti Vasquez show page. And I've been sharing the shows on Facebook and Threads.
Same.
And so if again, be sure to follow the WCPT on all the different social media platforms so you can stay up to date on what's going on this wonderful channel where we talk about progressive issues and the things that matter to people who are sane, who believe the world is a globe, that facts matter, that vaccines are good.
Yes.
And that, that the smaller government, while in theory might seem like a good idea, just because you have more self-checkout lanes at the Jewel doesn't mean your grocery prices are going down.
And it doesn't mean your grocery shopping time goes down.
It does not. All right. We're going to take our last break. And when we come back, we'll wrap things up, folks. Again, 773-763-9278. Text, call. Get in before the break. This is Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal driving it home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820 AM.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez
In your communities in Chicago.
on WCPT 820.
We are driving it home with Patti Vasquez and guest hosts Elliott Serrano and Ken Mejia-Beal. The K&E experience. That's what we were telling. I've been telling everybody here at CPT, they got to give us a show. We should have a show.
You guys should email them.
You should email. Tell them you love K&E and you want more.
And then, yes.
Yeah.
And then whisper it.
Whisper it like that. Hey. Like send voicemails.
Yeah. Yeah, send voicemails.
But don't do like heavy breathing or anything like that.
Do it.
Unless you're calling Ken's voicemail.
I love heavy breathing. I love it.
I cannot.
I love it.
Yesterday I was talking about, because yesterday, if you're listening, I was talking about, because I'm presently unemployed. I'm a what you call a media freelancer.
Yes.
Any work I do with any media outlet, CPT or the other radio stations, it's like I don't have a contract with anyone.
Right.
So it's like it would not be a show without me saying, hey, find me a job or something
Absolutely.
like that.
No, I'm here for it.
Is that begging? Is that
yes.
Yeah, I don't want to beg.
We're not above it. We're not above it.
No, but in all seriousness, I do think we have a good rapport when we do this sort of thing.
I love this guy.
Every time we do this, we have a lot of fun.
We do.
And you folks who call in and listen, we always appreciate your comments and your compliments on what we do here.
We love compliments.
Yeah. Patti will be back, though, tomorrow. She's going to be broadcasting from Nolens.
Yes, she will be.
Folks, do us a favor. Just call her. Just really call her. Ask her what the weather's like.
Please.
That would be awesome. Just say, Patti, how's the weather? Patti, we heard about the tornado.
And then tell her that Elliot told you to do that. And not Ken.
I felt, okay, see, there we go. Because I did feel bad. Remember when we were talking about the weather that followed her this time, and then we were laughing? Like,
I felt horrible.
I did. I felt terrible.
I went home to make sure, nothing really bad happened.
Yeah, really. And don't get me wrong, I love Patti.
So
Patty's like my best friend. She's like my best friend. And I always worry about her when she travels and stuff, so I wanted to make sure she was okay.
Yes.
But it's just...
We're not jerks.
We're just amused that when she does go to the one time she goes to New Orleans, it snows like 8, and not just a flurry, it snowed like 8 inches.
They shut down the airport.
Right, and then
it was horrible.
Then she goes back, and then there's a tornado. So
we were actually talking. I went to New Orleans in October, and she was going to come with. And she ended up not coming, and I'm happy she didn't. Because it was the Halloween parade and everything, and she would have brought a hurricane or snow or something. Yeah. And there I would have been in my Bob's Burgers costume, freezing.
I'm trying to remember what the weather was like here. It was cold this past Halloween, if I remember correctly.
It was perfect.
In New Orleans.
For me,
when you were in New Orleans.
Yeah, it was great.
Up here, it was chilly. I remember because...
That's why I leave.
I would sit out front of my house with the candy for the kids to come by.
Yeah.
If I'm not sitting out front, they don't come by.
Aw.
Because it was cold, and they wanted to go where they knew where there was candy.
That makes sense.
So I'm sitting out there, and I'm freezing, and I'm here trying to give away this candy. Because if I had all that Halloween candy in the house, let's say all this weight that I've been losing
comes back immediately. No, I leave Chicago for Halloween. It's my favorite holiday, and I love putting on a costume, and I want to be happy, so I usually go somewhere warm.
That's good. That's good.
I get away.
But I mean, in my position as a media freelancer, but also looking for a job, you are working for a great organization.
Thank you. Youth Outlook, I am our treasurer. We are a wonderful organization that provides resources to LGBTQ youth and their parents. I encourage you to go to our website, youth-outlook.org. Especially, and I know I'm speaking to my people right now, the trans community in particular is under so much attack every single day. And what we are doing at Youth Outlook is we are simply investing confidence and self-esteem into young people that are turning on the news right now and being told that they are less than. That is what we are doing. So please check us out, youth-outlook.org. If you want Youth Outlook. If you want a Youth Outlook person to come and talk to your group or something, please feel free to reach out to me at kenbeal85@gmail.com or ken.mb@kenmejiabeal.com or at Ken Mejia-Beal at any of my socials. I know my name is hard to spell. That's why I have so many. But it's important. I'll go anywhere. I was just in Kane County, Lake County, Kendall County, downstate. I go anywhere to talk about Youth Outlook.
And if you want to find Ken on any of his socials, of course, he is tagged on the Patti Vasquez Show page.
Yes.
The past 2 days, the good folks of CPT have put together a nice little graphic of the two of us.
It is great.
You know,
we look like the happiest gay couple in America. I love it.
Yeah, hey, I'm telling you. I mean,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even. I will say this: I do appreciate that when I go to Boys Town, I get hit on a lot.
You absolutely do.
I do. I mean, I'm straight, but I'm talking cute guys.
Of course.
Good-looking guys hit on me. I'm not going, seriously? Really?
You're a bear with good hair.
Thank you. So I'm like, wow.
Why do you think I offer to come in with you all the time? Hello? Hello?
You know, if you and I were like the same size clothing, I might switch teams just so I could double my wardrobe. You know?
Are you that frugal?
No, that's an old Seinfeld joke.
Okay.
I stole that from Jerry Seinfeld. So anyway,
yes.
Good golly,
this has been fun.
But it has been fun, and but to your point,
yes,
and the whole thing about what's been going on, especially with the LGBTQIA. Is there still a plus at the end? LGBTQIA plus.
So let me be very clear. I say LGBTQ.
Right.
And I hope that everyone fits into those letters.
So lesbian, LG, lesbian, gay, LGB, bisexual,
yes,
BT, trans,
yes,
Q, queer,
yes,
I, intersex,
yes,
A, asexual,
yes,
and then you got a plus there, which I'm assuming is for folks who are gender fluid, possibly.
We can just say the gay alphabet from now on.
The alphabet. Yeah, well, that's what people call it, the alphabet.
The alphabet.
But see that, yes.
Oh.
No, I've also heard that used as a derogatory term from folks on the right. Oh, I'm tired of the alphabet people. I'm like, really? That is really that.
Okay, yeah,
that
I don't
really
mean it like that. Yeah,
no, I know you don't mean it that way.
Because I am an alphabet person.
But people have taken that. People, the right, they have taken that and they've turned it just like they've turned. They talk about woke and DEI and all that stuff. And it just. And
can we do a whole show about how people on the right are ruining words?
Well, they take everything and they ruin it.
Yeah, they do.
You know, and even like the OK sign. Remember when you could say OK, and they turned that like into a white supremacist deal. And then during the first Trump administration, you'd have Trump, cabinet members sitting behind someone during like a hearing or something, and they're doing the little signal over there. I'm like, oh look, we're doing this because we're poning the libs. They're trolling everybody.
Yeah.
Oh look, we're doing the OK. You can't do anything about it. It's just so annoying. The point I wanted to make, because we did start the day talking a little bit about some geeky stuff. We were talking about pro wrestling and all that.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to close before we go. A little bit of Star Wars here. Gina Carano, she was a former women's MMA fighter. She made some movies. She did a movie with Channing Tatum, directed by Steven Soderbergh. I can't remember the name of it, but it was actually a really good movie. And she was in this movie a very good actor. Okay. And she was on a show called The Mandalorian on Disney Plus for a brief amount of time, about a season and a half, something like that. She was supposed to get her own show.
Oh, she's the conservative.
And she was the one who went on Twitter and saying that Republicans were being persecuted, and making parallels that at some point Republicans are going to be rounded up like the Jews and sent off to concentration camps. And I sit here and I go, inelegant a tweet as it was, I mean, I'm going to give, at this point, I always try to give folks a little bit of grace because
you're the bigger person.
I try to, and I will say there are times when I try to make a point and I know I make it inelegantly, and it comes out completely not the way I intended it to.
Yeah.
Like the way I say it is never. I mean, a lot of times it's like I'm sorry, that's not what
Sometimes
I meant.
You're clumsy with words. We all are.
Although I'm a writer, when I would
writers are the most clumsy with words.
Yeah, that's why That's why we need editors,
yes.
right? Because back in the day on Twitter, boy, did I get in trouble a lot of times for tweets, things I would say that, they were like, well, how could you say that? Well, you're a writer. You should know better. Anywho.
Like, no, I don't.
So Gina Carano tweets this thing out and gets... she was getting bullied online. I'll concede that. She was trying to make a point about if I have a different point of view, we can't be like that. We can't just round up the people who don't believe it the same way. But again, very inelegantly made.
Yeah.
Her problem was that instead of saying, hey, that's not the way I meant it or whatever, she doubled down.
Yeah.
And you're like, so then you sit there and you go, okay, the right is like all about we're getting oppressed for our beliefs, and they have no problem and we're talking just online.
Right.
They have no problem passing laws to denigrate, to dehumanize,
yes.
and to oppress other people.
Correct.
And that is a hypocrisy that just drives me nuts, and that fact that they don't even see it. Or if they see it, they don't care.
They don't care.
All right. Ken, thanks so much.
Thank you, Elliot.
By the way, you can find me on social media at Elliott Serrano, 2 L's, 2 T's, and 2 R's. I'm on LinkedIn. Hey, if you're hiring, you want a marketing or messaging person or community outreach,
give Elliot. Find him.
We'll work for food. Thank you so much. This has been Driving Home with Patti Vasquez on AM 850, 820 WCPT. We'll see you next time.